Hi everyone, it's Dana and welcome back to my channel, and I am just going to share with you my recipe for basic crock pot roast, how I do it. I'm putting this together. My friend Kathy and her husband Jamie are coming for dinner tomorrow night, and I have a friend staying with me from California who he's a bachelor guy, and he and I have been talking a lot about cooking this week. And he just has a small baby crock pot. So I'm putting together this video also for him as well, so that this is his point back to it. Okay, how do I make that thing again? Because he's going to go home and buy a bigger crock pot. We've been talking all week about the crock pot versus the Instapot and what he needs. And you know what? The Instapot is too much machine for him. So I've instructed him to go and get a bigger crock pot. And so I'm going to put this pot roast together so that you guys can see how I do it, and it's just basic, but it's also a how-to guide for my friend from California as a point of reference. So what you're going to need is some potatoes. This is what I like to put in my pot roast. You guys can put a variation. If you don't like something, you can leave it out. But I put potatoes, mushrooms, and I use the cremini mushrooms because I think they have a bit more flavor than the button mushrooms. I use carrots, and I cheat and use the ones that are already to go here. One small onion. I also amp that up with some onion, the minced onion, the dried stuff. Some garlic, a can of diced tomatoes. That's what I use for my liquid. I don't put any beef stock or bouillon in mine. Some seasoning, salt, which is here, and some pepper. Here in Canada, the roast that we use is called a boneless bottom blade roast. I don't know what the cut of meat is that you use in the United States, and my friend is going to go and do some research at the grocery store. He's going to ask the butcher. But here in Canada, it's called the boneless bottom blade roast. So I have my crock pot here, and I've lined it because I'm also going to make a soup tomorrow. And while I'm lazy, I don't want to scour this thing. So I've just lined it, and for me, the pot roast is all about layering. So I put my heavy root vegetables at the bottom and then layer it up with the beef going in at the top. So we'll get started with that. Hopefully you guys can see all of this. And I also cheat and buy little baby potatoes so that I don't even have to peel them. So they're just tiny. I'll show you. Like, they're just small little potatoes. Some of them are a bit bigger, and in that situation I'll just cut it. You're trying to get things that are uniform in size here so that it all cooks evenly. That's enough potatoes. I don't like to overload this, and you also have to be careful, obviously, too, of not putting too much in your crock pot. Actually, I can stand a few more potatoes so that I like it to be all layered at the bottom. Good. And then in go the carrots. Next. Now, the mushrooms, I put them in, but I start to stack them around the edge. Because at this point I start getting concerned that my roast isn't going to fit in. I know it will, but I get worried. And then the onion. And I'm going to add a bit more flavor with the onion flakes. Now, there are different schools of thought too, whether you pre-sear your meat or you just put it in as is. I come from the as is school of cooking because for me, in my mind, the crock pot is all about ease, right? So searing this meat would make this more painful than it needs to be. Okay, so it might have a bit more flavor, but not so much so that I'll be able to tell a difference. Martha Stewart and Anthony Bourdain and Giada and all of those folks could, but not little Dana from Ottawa. All right. Oh, come on, you goof. So I'm trying to lift up this meat without being messy, and I'm being messy. Okay. In goes the meat. Put this off to the side. I bashed it into the front of my machine here. At the end of the day, I'm trying to be neat, and I'm just more messy than ever. Okay, so now in goes some garlic, and I'm just using the minced garlic from the DT. Okay, maybe a lot of garlic. And then some seasoning salt. Cracked black pepper. And then this can of diced tomatoes goes over the top. I don't like gravies and stuff, so I think that's why I prefer it with the tomatoes on top. I'm not a thick gravy kind of girl, so this is the way I prefer to do my pot roast. And then I just put the lid on and I cook it on low for 8 hours. I do a lot of crock pot cooking in the summer, even more so than I do in the winter, because it doesn't heat up my house. I don't have to turn the stove on to heat up my house. And normally, if I was just doing this for myself, I probably would eat this for 2 nights and then package the rest of it up and could easily feed myself 3 more times. So this is a quick and easy. Yeah, okay, the meat was 19 bucks. But to feed me over 5 meals for $19 and then call it probably another $7 for the veggies is not a lot of money. I think that's pretty inexpensive. So, and it's an inexpensive way to cook using your crock pot. You don't heat up your house, so you don't have to use your air conditioner, and it doesn't use very much electricity. So it's a cheap way to cook. So everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this video on my version of the basic crock pot roast. And if you try it, let me know how it turns out. All right, everyone, have a great weekend.